Our next guest is the gorgeous Hannie Rayson. Hannie, I did some research today and I found a photograph and you look like you're about 24 and I fell instantly in love with it. And then I got to work on the research. Hannie Rayson has established a reputation for topical, complex complex dramas written with wit and humour. She's a graduate of Melbourne University and the Victorian College of the Arts. She has an honorary doctorate of letters from La Trobe University and is a fellow of the Australian Centre at the University of Melbourne. Her plays have been extensively performed around Australia and internationally. They include Please Return to Sender, Mary, Leave It Till Monday, Room to Move, Hotel Sorrento, Falling from Grace, Competitive Tenderness, Life After George, Inheritance, Two Brothers, and The Swimming Club. Isn't that an amazing performance? Hannie made playwriting history when Life After George was the first play to be nominated for the Miles Franklin Award. Hannie Rayson comes back to Rotunda every year, and on those occasions we do pay her, and she introduces wonderful new guests, wonderful new writers. We never know who they are until the night that she turns up. This year she interviewed and brought along Elsa Piper for our 40th edition, and it was a hoot of a night. Could you please welcome to the stage the First Lady of Australian drama, Miss Hannie Rayson.
When I was a teenager, I went to romantic comedies with my mum. We sat side by side in the cinema in the dark, and I was consumed with longing for the moment when the hero finally overcame all obstacles and drew the heroine into an ardent embrace. But all through this yearning, I felt sick with worry and pity for my mother. I thought, this is all over for her. She's married my dad. Robert Redford is never going to ask her to walk with him barefoot in the park. She will never drink a highball with Cary Grant or have breakfast at Tiffany's. She will never have a farm in Africa. I imagined her despair. I was mortified for her and sorry. She must be hating this reminder of her middle-agedness. And now, here I am. Half a century has skulked past. I have been married to the same art form for 30 years. You writing virgins, writing girlfriends, writing brides, flushed with the newness of it, the euphoria of it. You are wondering, is she still in love? Is her prose, sexy? One afternoon at the Elstonwick Classic, my mother gave me 4 pieces of advice. The first is, learn to like beer. Don't be an expensive date. Boys should not be expected to fork out their hard-earned money on fluffy ducks. She's quite right. Number 2, never complain about your period. Everyone has them. What makes you so special? Number 3, when you leave home, the first thing you must do is develop a relationship with a butcher. But the 4th piece of advice, and the only one related to the topic at hand, is this. To be successful in love, one must work at it. You have to put your shoulder to the wheel with marriage and labour. At my cousin's wedding that same year at the Melbourne Zoo, the celebrant asked, "Will you take this woman to be your wife? Will you make the daily effort to relate to her?" Frankly, if you met my cousin's wife, relating to her would be a daily effort. But for those of us growing up in the 60s and 70s, the evidence was there for all of us to see. Marriage, for us girls, did involve a great deal of work in the form of cutlet crumbing and ironing of shirts, the making of white sauce, vacuuming and deferring to one's husband. And the journey from sexy bride to matron frau seemed lamentably short. As my mother warned, love itself had to be worked at, and lasting love would require a real rolling up of one's sleeves. And as an American senator once said, you can't wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. The moralist in me will tell you that there is no mastery without discipline and work. That is true. But the romantic will tell you that I cannot write unless I'm in love. I've tried over the years to marry for money, mostly on television and film. I've tried to be a roll-up-your-sleeves kind of working girl. I wrote corporate training videos, education DVDs, episodes of this and that. I've written countless film scripts and rewritten them draft after draft until I wanted to bash my head on asphalt. I've had arranged marriages and ones where I've pitched my own stories. It's not as if my heart wasn't in it. I've always bled. But if you tango with television, know this: he is a brutal lover. Once we used to regard it as the work of prostitutes writing for money, but that was the 60s and 70s. We turned up our noses and called it selling out. Nobody thinks that anymore. Everybody knows that work is good. Work and work and work and work, lucky to have it. But don't mistake it for love. Love is a journey of the soul. If this long-term marriage I have between me and my PC, and we have produced 14 babies, if this relationship ever shows signs of being a dull and dragging thing, an obligation, a fraudulence, a codependent bickering of two old dogs on the same leash, and this has happened from time to time, then the first duty of any writer is to have an affair, to flirt with another genre. And for me, that is invariably writing about travel, the sexiest writing of all. It may not be the sexiest to read, but it certainly is the sexiest to write. Writing on a train, writing in a diary with a pen, writing what I see out a window, naming the colour of a wall, the personality of a house, the smell of a canal, the look of an elderly Greek, the angle of his cap. There's so much to express and understand, so much tantalising detail to depict. It's more vast than the universe itself. I am free. I am a mere passerby. What do I know of these lives that are being lived so far from Fitzroy? But here I am primed for adventure. Anything could happen, and everything or something does. Writing in the sexy embrace of a diary is like diving into the warm waters of the Aegean, or hiking up a French mountain where the air is cold and silent and laced with the citrus zing of the orange I'm peeling for my lunch. I am alive. I am fresh. I am embraced by solitude. I am in love. And like lovers the world over, this has never happened to anyone else before. But what happens to these words I write in diaries? Mostly they languish. Mostly they are gifts I have bought for myself. Doctorow says, planning to write is not writing. Outlining, researching, talking to people about what you're doing, none of that is writing. Writing is writing. When I first came across this declaration, I felt castigated and exposed. I call all of it writing. I bundle it all up and put it all on the tab. And I throw in walking and making soup and writing emails and reading, all in a day's work. But then I thought, hang on a minute, this is like sex. The actual time that you're engaged, hands-on, doing the business, from a look in the kitchen to lying spent, heart thumping in a tangle of bedding, the actual time taken has no bearing on the experience of making love, the significance of it, the centrality of it in one's life. Doctorow is a bean counter, a pedant. I denounce Doctorow. It's all or nothing. I'm also rather girlishly in love with being a writer. I'm in love with the mystery of it, the rebelliousness of it. When I was watching those movies with my mum, of course I wanted to be Julie Christie or Jane Fonda. I certainly wanted to be the kind of woman who came down into the kitchen the morning after, wearing only my lover's oversized shirt. But writers can do that, and you don't have to be particularly pretty. What you must be is curious. A writer is an adventurous. My love affair is childish and profound, full of stings and jealousies, excitability and calm, tantrums and glittering happiness. I will work for a year for one exquisite insight which may never come. And this is what my mother failed to understand when she tried to stress that love had to be worked at. She underestimated me. I am as stubborn as a mountain. Love can never be labour. It can only be love. Thank you.
I genuinely love coming to this event. I afterwards, the next day, I just feel inspired because I think that somehow or other it keeps me absolutely in touch with people who are really trying to write lives, there's no bullshit about this, there's no pretense, it's all about, actually engaging with the stuff of life. And so I always feel like the wind in my sails after I've been to a rotunda.